Don't try to ripen a rotten piece of fruit. Relationships that have rotted. Grandma's porch, a place to relax, a place to enjoy. Come visit Grandma's porch. Quit trying to ripen a rotten piece of fruit. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. I got to thinking about relationships today and kind of equating some relationships with fruit. There's ripe fruit that is just perfect, and healthy relationships, great relationships, relationships that if we continue to nurture them and nourish them, they're going to continue to grow. There's also relationships that have withered a bit, but if we water them and do all the right things in life, they're going to come back in full bloom. They're going to flourish again. Sometimes people quit investing in right relationships and they begin to wither. And if they catch them before they've withered too much, they can often restore those relationships, and those relationships can truly thrive again. And so those are different than what I'm about to talk about. What I'm talking about right now is really about relationships that have rotted, and people continue to hold on to them, and they're not going to come back. And so those kinds of relationships can be like a rotten piece of fruit that has fallen off the tree that someone keeps trying to put back onto the tree. It's just not going to ripen ever. And so I think it's important to know what kind of relationships that we have. Are these relationships that are healthy and that we need to continue to nourish and nurture? Are there relationships that have withered a bit and we need to go back in and begin to take care of them so that they'll flourish again? Are they relationships that belong in our lives, or are they relationships that don't belong in our lives? Are they relationships that should have never been in our lives, or are they relationships that simply have run their course and no longer have a place in our lives? And I always like to say that I keep most people as Christmas card friends, even long after the relationship is not tightly woven like it had been before. Remember, relationships do change, and often they get closer, and sometimes they pull apart. And yet they can still remain relationships. They can still be occasional relationships rather than everyday relationships. I have friends that I talk to on occasion that many years ago that we saw each other every day. And so we still have a wonderful relationship. It's just not the same. So some relationships do change, but they're still relationships. And yet there are some relationships that should have never been, or relationships that absolutely rotted. For whatever the reason, there can be a lot of reasons why a relationship has rotted, and like a piece of fruit, rotted and then fallen off the tree, and someone is trying to put that rotten piece of fruit back on the tree, or hold on to that rotten piece of fruit in hopes that it will ripen again. Some relationships do not ripen again. Some relationships, no matter what we do for it, just does not belong in our lives and will not ripen again, and will continue to be like a piece of dead fruit. Not too long ago, I had someone who I did know a long time ago come on my virtual media site and just make a very nasty comment. and I had never bothered them. I had politely kind of disengaged from them, and they knew that long ago, that I politely disengaged. I no longer wanted to have a close friendship with that person, but I did it in the right way, and I did it politely, and I did it kindly, and I did it thoughtfully. And yet that person, I think, resented that all along. And they would periodically come to my social media pages and make some nasty comments. But I just kind of, left them do that. And I would just delete their comments. And then one day I realized, you know what, that's not working. Holding on to that rotten piece of fruit is not working. I need to block that person from being able to comment on my social media. And so I did. I blocked them from being able to drop comments that were really never nice. And they had just simply kind of followed me. I didn't follow them. I let them go, and yet they resented the fact that I did not want to be a more active person in their lives at some level, and I didn't. And I had long gone on in my friendships, and I think the reason I had backed off that relationship was because I really, after I got to know that person, I realized they were a person that I really didn't want to get to know anymore. That was going to be a whole nother video about people that we wish we would not have gotten to know. And by that, I mean, sometimes initially when we meet somebody, we think, oh, this is going to be a great friendship, and this person's all great, and all that. And then as we get to know them over time, we realize, hey, wait a minute, this relationship is not what I want, and this person isn't quite the way I thought that they would be. And so we back up. And often when we back up, sometimes people don't like that. And so there are relationships, and even I've had them where I go, I wish I hadn't really made them a friend. But you don't know that in the beginning. There's often no real way to know until you're in a relationship, because there's many people in my life that I go, oh, thank gosh they're my friend. Thank gosh that thank goodness that I gave them the time and energy to develop my relationship. So the good far outweighs the bad. But there are times that we do, once we get to know somebody, we realize that they're not the way we thought they were, and we want to let go of that relationship. And so that kind of goes back to the rotten piece of fruit. If something's rotted, completely rotted, it's unlikely that you're ever going to ripen it again. And so a relationship that's unhealthy, that's toxic, that's not good, that's never going to come back to life no matter what we do for it. For me personally, I let it go. I let it go politely, if at all possible. I let it go in the best way possible. I always do that. I always try to leave a relationship on a better note. And yet I realize that some relationships you can't do that with. Some relationships you just totally have to disengage the best way that you can. And like in that situation, I had to block someone on social media. I had to block them. I didn't want to do that. It's sort of like I try to do things where you kind of ease out of it, comfortably, so everybody is fine. But some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to ease out of something. And so I believe that there are rotten pieces of fruit that we have to let go of. And the more we hold on to it, it's not going to ripen. It's just going to start to smell. Sort of like I just did a video called Don't Try to Catch a Dead Fish. And it's sort of like that. When you try to catch a dead fish, it's only going to smell, and it's not going to come back to life. Well, it's the same way with a piece of fruit. It's not going to ripen again. Okay. Well, from my beautiful day to yours, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And we are getting ready. My one son and I are getting ready to go shopping. And I am so looking forward to it on this beautiful day. And I did my 5-mile run, and it just is wonderful. So from my house to yours, may God bless you. And I'll talk to you soon again. Bye-bye. place to relax and a place to enjoy.